My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. I think it's safe to say that nobody likes construction, right? It's a dread for anyone who's traveling. I think we all have the experience of getting caught in a traffic jam only to realize that the cause of the traffic is construction. The highway has been reduced to one lane due to some steamroller or jackhammer or construction work. But of course, it's also a wonder of human ingenuity, the fact that we can build highways that carry millions of cars and trucks all over the country, all throughout the world, over terrains that are often hilly and unpredictable. We're able to create these very fast and efficient channels of transportation, these highways. And this is not simply the ingenuity of recent times. I remember when I used to live in Rome, I would often go with some friends on a bike excursion out to the outskirts of the city to what's called the Via Appia, the Appian Way. The Appian Way is one of the oldest and strategically most important Roman roads of the ancient Roman Republic. And it was an incredibly well-constructed highway. It was made of large stones that were put together and laid out across many miles that allowed for the emperor and his armies to travel by horse and cart at fast speeds. It was truly a marvel of engineering. You have to imagine it. The stones of this road, of the road surface, were big, but tight fitting. They were like tightly fit together, interlocking to provide a flat surface. Apparently, a Roman historian, Procopius, said that the stones fit together so securely and closely that they appeared to have grown together organically rather than to have been fitted together by man. In addition, the road was cambered in the middle, right? So it was slightly bent towards the sides for water runoff. And it even had gutters, it had ditches on either side of the road, which were protected by retaining walls, right, to allow for proper drainage of rainwater, etc. The road was perfectly flat and straight, and it would take the king to wherever he needed to go. And we can imagine the Roman Empire had a whole system of these highways so that the emperor, his army, Roman citizens could reach many, many parts of the ancient world easily. But of course, to do all of this, a lot of terrain had to be moved around. To make this kind of infrastructure, hills had to be leveled, valleys had to be filled in. Today we celebrate Gaudete Sunday, right? The third Sunday of Advent. Gaudete is from the Latin, and it is the imperative, it is a command, and it means rejoice, everybody, rejoice. And it's a Sunday in which we make a special point of rejoicing. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. And we can ask ourselves, well, why? Why should I rejoice? St. Paul tells us, because the Lord is close at hand. The Lord is about to arrive. The King, the great emperor, the King of Kings, is about to come to us. And that's why in the liturgy, the priest is allowed to wear a rose-colored chasuble, rose-colored vestments, which expresses this joy, this expectation, this hope. In the gospel today, we're presented with the figure of John the Baptist. We could say that John the Baptist is one of the MVPs. He's one of the most valuable players of the Advent season. I would say along with Isaiah and with Joseph and of course Mary, right? And in this Sunday, we're invited to reflect upon the figure of John the Baptist. He's a mysterious figure. The Pharisees, the people of Israel, they can't make sense of him. He's a mystery. They ask him if he's Elijah. He says no. They ask him if he's Moses. He says no. Is he the Christ? He says no. He is the precursor to the king. And in fact, he is, we could say, the highway builder. He's asking everyone to get a highway made for the king's arrival. We read. They asked him, "What are you then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." So they said to him, "Who are you then, so we can give an answer to those who sent us? What do you have to say for yourself?" And he replied, "I am the voice of one crying out in the desert, 'Make straight the way of the Lord,' as Isaiah the prophet said." Make straight the way of the Lord. For ancient Israel, they would know what this image was all about because they were used to highways being built for great kings. John the Baptist, echoing the voice of Isaiah the prophet, says, "Make straight a highway, a road upon which the Lord can arrive." The Messiah is arriving. Make a highway. Prepare yourselves. Isaiah had said, "Every valley shall be exalted, every hill made low." Of course, when John speaks of building a highway, he's speaking in spiritual terms. He wants us to build a highway in our heart for the coming of Christ, in which we need to raise up those valleys and level those hills. What do we need to raise up or level out in our interior life? Perhaps those hills can be those hills of our pride, of our self-exaltation, of our arrogance. Perhaps those valleys are those moments in which we lose our hope, in which we become sad, anxious. I was thinking that perhaps this Christmas of 2020, we all need to raise up that valley that's been brought about by the pandemic. I think for so many people, the pandemic has created a kind of weariness, a kind of sadness, anxiety about what's going to happen over the next few months. We need to raise up that valley of our sadness, of our frustration, of our impatience. And we can because, as today reminds us, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Our joy is rooted in God. Our joy is rooted in the fact that we are God's children. And so let's fill in that valley with supernatural joy. And therefore, the highway will be ready for the coming of the baby Jesus when he comes into our hearts on Christmas morning. Mary and Joseph took a road in order to come to Bethlehem. That road was probably not so great. It wasn't built like the Roman roads of the empire, thinking of the emperor himself, of the great Caesar. Mary and Joseph humbly take whatever road they can to arrive in Bethlehem. But this Christmas, when they arrive once again, we want to give them the best road. We want to construct in our heart a proper highway, a highway truly designed for the King of Kings. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you've communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help in putting them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.